alongside members of Congress. They wore pins reading "Release the Files." Joining us now, Epstein survivor Jess Michaels and also Congressman James Walkinshaw. Thank you for being here. And you just heard Congressman Ryan Zinke
Yes.
talking about whether or not he feels as though the president has done all he can to release these files, whether or not they're in compliance with the law. Is there anything you wanted to say about what you heard?
Yes, I wanted to stop him in the hallway, introduce myself as a 1991 Jeffrey Epstein survivor, and if he believes that, it means he hasn't actually read the files.
What do you mean?
Because even the egregious redactions that have happened, victim statements were 4 pages of a 7-page victim statement was blacked out. There was telling information. One of them I saw on page 4. She says, "I am feeling fearful of the abusive power of wealthy men." And then the rest of it's blacked out. So there are clear indications that information was not investigated the way that it should have been, and there is not transparency happening right now. So he can't be making that opinion, obviously, if he hasn't even looked at something as simple as a victim statement.
Okay, I want to turn to you, Congressman Walkinshaw. The administration has said, first of all, Trump's not accused of wrongdoing specifically. But they've also always said that he's done more for victims than anyone by signing the disclosure rule into law. Do you have a single concrete outcome you can offer Jess and others? A special prosecutor, a full declassification, subpoenas? Other than bringing them places, what do Democrats have to offer survivors?
Well, what I would like to see happen is get all the files released, unredact the illegal redactions, and then for the Department of Justice to investigate whatever needs to be investigated based on the full information. We have seen across the world, and to some extent in the United States, individuals being held accountable in different ways by institutions they're involved in. I don't think that's enough, but we need to have all of the files. We need to unredact the illegal redactions and investigate what needs to be investigated.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot in the private sector, whether it's the attorney who was at Goldman Sachs, the resignation of Peter Attia from CBS, lots of people sort of stepping aside from their positions, and then, of course, what's going on in Europe with the arrests in the UK. Do you agree that is any of this accountability? Is any of this comforting to see these resignations?
It's a level of public awareness that they're agreeing that something has happened, but we're not seeing them testify in front of the committees. We're not seeing any further investigations. I just have to mention a story last night. So when we were in the gallery, several of us were sitting with Republican staffers. And at one point, I just turned to him and I said, "So what do you think about this whole release the files thing?" and he said, "Well," he goes, my Congress member voted for it twice to release the files. I said, "Great, what do you think about it now?" And he said, "Well, it should have been released 10 years ago." And I said, "No, it's not that it should have been released 10 years ago. There was arrests were supposed to happen 10 years ago. And that's why we're here, sir, because arrests never happened then, and they're not happening now."
Yeah, there's a little bit of like, this other person should have done it, this other person should have done it, and you're not getting answer for now.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I got to turn a little bit to the speech since I have the congressman here. I heard the president say this is the golden age of the economy. I can't tell you in a sentence what the Democratic response is in a sentence for the economy. What is the message, and who's in charge of it?
Well, the golden age is only taking place in Donald Trump's golden ballroom that he's planning. And to listen to him last night tell the American people that they're living in the midst of a roaring economy, when 10 million of them are about to lose their health care coverage because of the so-called big, beautiful bill, where hardworking American families, including Virginians I represent, are struggling under the weight of costs driven by tariffs and other policies. On average, $2,000 a year, additional costs weighing down hardworking American families. The idea that that's a golden age is absurd and laughable.
I hear a critique. I do not hear a plan.
Well, look, the Democrats' plan is A, roll back the health care cuts, extend Affordable Care Act premium tax credits, build 3 to 5 million new homes in this country to bring down the cost of housing. Focus on affordability.
And also billionaire taxes where we can get them. Like, it just feels like it's very messy right now going into the midterms.
Yeah, look, I think you will see over the course of this year, Democrats, and we have been spreading out across the country, listening to the American people in session after session, developing a very clear, coherent, I hope, in my view, brief agenda that we will take to the voters in November.
I want to say thank you so much for being here, Jess. Thank you for being here, as always. You do an amazing job articulating what's going on. I want to talk about one other thing with our group. Resistance on full display from Democrats last night. So there were signs and outbursts on the floor. There was like a counter event on the National Mall.